You to the 2015 spring convocation. The theme is Commence with Learning. We go along with one of our core values as a theme every year, and this year's theme is the core value of learning, and we want to focus a little bit on that as we move forward through this convocation. I'm very excited to thank the convocation committee who did just a tremendous job putting this together. And the convocation committee is chaired by Nancy Kosenkin, includes John Sipity, Jeff Huffman, Heath Martin, Amanda Pachaco, Barbara Rail, Jim Stevenson, Lynn Sullivan, and Kevin Walker. Can you all please stand and let's give them a round of applause for the work that they have done. It is a tremendous effort to put convocation together. This committee knows it intimately and can't wait for this day to be over, I'm sure. But they did a fine job, and we're so appreciative of the work that they've done. We have boards of trustee members who are here today, some who are here right now and some who will be coming shortly. I'm so pleased to introduce Sandy Burlekamp, our vice chair. Sandy, want to stand and just be recognized? And Carl Coble, one of our trustees. And the other trustees will be coming. We thank them for their dedication. Give them a round of applause. So as is tradition, we like to introduce any new employees who have been hired since the last convocation, which was in September of last year. New employees, when you see your picture on the screen, if you could please stand while I introduce you to the campus community. So we're going to get started because we have a number of new employees. And I got to put my specs on. Elise Emily is a new employee. Elise attained her Associate of Applied Business degree in Executive Office Administration here from Terra State. She started as a part-time as-needed customer service receptionist position in July of 2013. She left to take a full-time position with Holland Accounting in 2014, but returned to fill our full-time customer service receptionist position, and she began January 20th. Welcome, Elise. Sonia Formoso, who is a reference specialist. Sonia received her computer network management degree from Centura College of Virginia Beach. She previously worked for the Sandusky County Health Department, WSOS, and MLLEC. She started her career with Terra State on August 19th as a student employee. She was a microlab technician, and she began her position as reference specialist on December 1st. Welcome, Sonia. Cynthia Hayes. Cindy is currently pursuing a bachelor's degree in business administration with a focus in human resources from Bowling Green State University. Most recently, she was employed by Elmwood Healthcare Center at the Springs as the Director of Human Resources. She began her position at Terra State Community College on December 10th. Welcome, Cindy. Terry Hopkins. Is Terry here? She's probably driving in still. Terry received her certificate in medical assisting from the Ehovie Career Center and a Master Teacher Development Process certificate from Elsevier. She is currently pursuing a bachelor's degree in health science from South University in Warrensville Heights, Ohio, and is set to graduate this April. Terry has worked previously as a certified medical assistant for a general surgeon's office in Norwalk, Ohio, and most recently as a lead clinical instructor for Ehovie Career Center in Milan. Terry began her position January 8th, so please welcome her when she gets to the campus. Kaylee Hustetler. Is Kaylee here? Ooh, we're taking attendance today. Well, Kaylee used to be at the college. She attended Bowling Green State University and received her Associate of Applied Business and Medical Office Support with a focus on office administration from Owens Community College. She held the positions of office assistant with Bowling Green State University and Owens. She started her career at Terra in June of 2013 as a full-time admissions receptionist. She was transferred in September of 2013 to financial aid customer service receptionist, and she is currently attending Tiffin University working on her bachelor's degree in business administration. She left in May of 2014 but returned in November. She started her new position as a full-time financial aid advisor on November 17th. So welcome Kaylee back to the campus. Melissa Jensen. I saw Melissa. Melissa received her Bachelor of Arts in Communications and her MBA in Organizational Leadership from the University of Findlay. She was a former student activities coordinator at The Ohio State University, Newark. Melissa also served as the Assistant Dean and Area Coordinator of Residence Life at Wittenberg University. She is serving as our Student Activities Coordinator. She began November 14th. Welcome, Melissa. Okay, now I'm going to say stand and stay standing till I'm done reading so that people can see where you are, okay? So, Scott Nieskern. See, I made you stand the longest. Ha! Scott received his bachelor's degree in business administration from Heidelberg College. He has worked for St. Francis Healthcare Center as director of purchasing and telecommunications, and was most recently employed by Elmwood Healthcare Center at the Springs as director of materials management. Scott began his position as manager of compensation and benefits October 13th. Scott, welcome. Jackie Kramer. We all know Jackie, but it's exciting to welcome her to the campus. She received her associate's degree in executive office and medical office administration from Terra State. She has most recently worked as a site supervisor for RICO USA here at Terra State. Jackie brings all of her hands-on experience and knowledge of Terra State to our marketing department as our part-time junior graphics designer. She began her position January 6th. Welcome, Jackie, formally to the campus. Lance Mowry. There he is. Lance is our manager of e-learning and instructional technology. He received his bachelor's degree in computer science and mathematics from Nebraska Wesleyan University. He attended the University of Findlay, where he received his master's degree in business administration with a concentration in finance and a degree in accounting. Lance has taught since 2000 as an adjunct professor with the University of Findlay, Southern Ohio University, and Tiffin University in the field of business research and analysis and business management. Lance was a network manager with Hercules Tire and Rubber, and most recently was a network administrator with CareTech Solutions in Findlay. He began his position September 29th. Welcome, Lance. Melinda Yearden. Melinda is our distance learning instructional technologist. She is a graduate of Heidelberg College with a Bachelor of Science degree in biology and has taken graduate courses from Bowling Green State University and has supplemented her learning with coursework here at Terra State. Melinda was employed by Perkins Schools for over 9 years as an IEP-specific professional and has actually been part of the Terra State team since 2009 as an adjunct faculty member, teaching computer fundamentals and digital literacy and applications. Melinda began her full-time position as distance learning instructional technologist on Monday. Welcome, Melinda. Ann Warner. Hi, Ann. Ann is our Assistant Director of Admissions and Academic Advising for High School Partnerships. Ann received her Bachelor of Business Administration degree from Tiffin University. She previously worked for 9 years as an operations manager for K-12 Incorporated and on behalf of Ohio Virtual Academy, and most recently served as an administrative assistant in the Academic and Career Support Center for Heidelberg University. Ann began her position January 12th. Welcome. And so we also like to summarize any promotions and transfers that have occurred since the last convocation. Of course, these changes have been announced through the various methods of communication throughout the last several months. We've tried to organize the changes by divisions this time. So in terms of academic affairs updates, changes in the Engineering Technologies, Mathematics, and Workforce Development Division, Andy Carroll is now Dean of Engineering Technologies, Mathematics, and Workforce Development, and Beth Hannum is our Manager of Business and Industry Training. Let's give them a round of applause. In the Allied Health, Nursing, Physical, and Social Sciences Division, we're pleased that Amy Amway has taken on the position of Interim Dean of the division, and Melissa Ramirez was awarded the bid for the full-time Academic Administrative Assistant, and Bruce Wassung was promoted to the Physical Therapist Assistant Program Chair and Director of Clinical Education. Let's give them a round of applause. And in the Business Communications and Arts Division, Jolene Myers was offered and accepted the position of Academic Dean for the division, and Chris Cavera began as the full-time coordinator of the Recording Studio Productions and Route 53 Records. So let's give them a round of applause. And Dr. Michael Capper has been promoted to Dean of Planning and Institutional Effectiveness and will be taking on the important role of strategic planning for the college, and we're very excited about that. Let's give Dr. Capper a round of applause. In student affairs, we've had some changes in academic advising where some of the same individuals have just changed positions a little bit. Kathy Mussel was offered and accepted the full-time academic advisor position. Linda Swaysgood began as the part-time academic advisor, and Julie Amrine transitioned to the part-time as needed academic advisor position. These are such critical and important positions with our students, and we're so pleased to be able to continue to have such wonderful academic advisors. Let's give them a round of applause. We've made some changes in financial aid as well. Marla Moore, we're so pleased to have promoted her to Interim Director of Financial Aid, and Patricia Lewis-Lee was promoted to the position of Financial Aid Advisor. Let's give them a round of applause. And in institutional advancement, Lonnie Shuey began working in a part-time capacity for the Foundation and Institutional Advancement in early December, and at the end of last week, he began to work full-time in the position of Interim Administrative Coordinator, and Melanie Steinberger begins on Monday as the Interim Administrative Assistant for the Foundation and that division. Let's give all of these employees another round of applause and welcome them to Terrace State. I want to encourage you to save the date for accolades. It's at our evening that we have begun on an annual basis to recognize employees and retirees of Terrace State Community College. It is going to be scheduled for Monday, May 11th, and the invitations will be going out in March. We are so excited to have this event. It will be here in the Neely Center. We had a great time last year, and we think that it's going to be even better this year, so we encourage you to put that on your calendar to have a fun time at Accolades. We have a series of updates that we would like you to receive, and I have asked several individuals to share these updates with you. These updates will be briefings on the items that have been ongoing at the college, some items of which we have discussed in previous convocations, along with some new items. Presenters have been asked to keep the topics moving so that you can hear as much as possible within the assigned time frame. So Dr. Corey Stein will begin, kick us off with discussions about financial aid and enrollment, and then we'll move on through the rest of the updates. Corey?
Thanks, Dr. Webster. Morning, everybody. All right, first thing we've got, you've seen some of the staffing changes we've had in the Office of Financial Aid. Some other folks we have would be Kathy Berger, is in the Financial Aid Office, as well as Melissa McCann. So make sure that you say hi to those folks there. We've been very busy in the Office of Financial Aid, especially as we're tackling the student loan cohort default rate. Like any good government program, it has initials, CDR. We will spend a lot of time in the next coming months on mitigating the cohort default rate. And there's a task force that will be meeting on Monday the 9th. It's recommended by both the Department of Education as well as the State of Ohio financial aid professionals that we try to involve the entire campus community in efforts to help with the cohort default rate. So don't be surprised if in the near future we come knocking on your doors or phones or emails and ask if we could either get your expertise or your time or your talent to help students get into situations in which they're no longer in default. There's many, many options. Much of it is just explaining to students how that works. In the Financial Aid Office, we've also tried to address some of the concerns that we've heard previously. Please continue to talk to Marla, the staff, to me, to Dean Heath Martin. We'd very much like to continue working on improving customer service, improving availability, providing one-on-one. If you have questions of your students in your classes, your offices, please refer them to financial aid. We've got some options that can help them. As far as if you have any ideas or suggestions as well, please let us know. We've got College Goal Sunday coming up. It's a statewide initiative through the Ohio Student Financial Aid Administrators Association. So there's still room for volunteers if you'd like to help people with that. And of course, we've got scholarships, and I'd be remiss if I didn't thank our foundation donors. Many of you also are in that category. So thank you so much for that. Please encourage students to apply for scholarships. We do have some available, including for summer term coming up. Enrollment is looking better. So our rate of change, and I don't understand the mathematics to explain this in technical terms, but our rate of change is improving. How's that? It has been 2 years since we've had such a low gap in either headcount or in FTE. And for that, we truly must say it's been a team effort with everybody at the college. And I know faculty members have referred students to the various services offices. You've helped yourselves. We've had a number of people working later hours. It's been a wonderful effort. It's looking optimistic for fall. There's some things that we can do that we'll be addressing and rolling out here over the next couple weeks to alert everybody of what we can do. But sincere thanks to everyone who's helping with the enrollment, and there's a little bit of good news with this. We'd like to also thank everyone who's helped with either hosting groups on campus. That's very, very important. Every time you talk with people, they comment how lovely this place is. We need to do a better and more consistent job of getting guests onto this campus so that they can see the resources and labs that we have. And once folks get here and see what we have and meet the folks, I don't know how many days I've seen employees ask somebody, do you know where to go, and escorting them there, or helping them with a piece of paper, or turning around and helping them out with a question. Those little touches make a difference. Other institutions don't do that as well as we do here at Terra State, and those kinds of things make a difference as well. So if you have any comments, questions about enrollment, please let me know. But otherwise, thank you so much.
Good morning, and now it's time for the banner update. So I thought I would begin by explaining and reminding you, why did we decide to go to banner? So as you can see from this slide, there are a lot of reasons why we chose banner. Our current software, CAMS, is only used by 3 colleges in Ohio, and we are one of those 3. With Banner's strong user base, we will be able to draw on the knowledge of other institutions that also use Banner. So the benefits, as you can see from this slide, there's a lot of reasons why we chose Banner. Our current went back to the same spot. The benefits for Banner are many. As an integrated system, we will have access to a greater amount of data, which will make us better at making data-driven decisions. So the conversion process, where are we in the conversion process? Financial services has been really busy laying groundwork for our chart of accounts. This process has moved along really nicely. Beginning in February, it's going to hit human resources, and we will focus on transitioning to Banner. So with that transition, during 1 week, we'll run dual pays. The University of Toledo has been so diligent in their efforts to ensure that quality is being put into this process. Work with student records is also going to hit into high gear for February. This slide shows 15 of our super users for the student records portion of Banner. Over the next 1 to 2 months, these individuals will begin to work directly with UT on a manual process to ensure student data is 100% accurate. This is going to be a slow process, but it will guarantee accuracy. Terra State employees will be focused solely on student information and learning how to put in student academic history. Our employees will be 100% knowledgeable about the student Banner module once the phase is completed. And this process isn't continued, so you will get further updates from me. So thank you.
Good morning. I have the pleasure of talking to you about budgets. You know, I enjoy budgets, but I know all of you enjoy doing that at home as well. So, but the big concern I had right now is Dr. Webster came in from Seattle and he told me, wow, you have too many slides. So I will be going very quickly through this just for your understanding. The middle column shows our unrestricted budget for 2015. We started off the year with a $14.6 million revenue budget, which is down 1.9 from last year. our current budget expenses at 15.2. For both years, our board approved $250,000 for Vision 2016 initiatives, and you can see in FY 2015 we're up by $336,000 from that standpoint, which is related to mandatory expenditures we've had to date. One of the key critical things for us that we've had is our student share of instruction, which is state funding. We have $6.2 million that we have received from the state of our $14.6 million budget. We've had an average of $6.3 million for the past 9 years. This was related to implementing our SS factors of student success and completion, which really helped stabilize it. Unfortunately, right now, SSI is based on a 3-year average, and that 3-year average will be dropping for the institution in FY16 because we're losing one of our highest funding success points at that period of time. So you will see the percentage change on our state funding. It will be dropping and will be more dependent on tuition revenue in the future. I wanted to illustrate currently where we're actually at on our income, FY15. You can see that we have a $7.3 million revenue so far for half of the year compared to 8.2 million or 8.3, and we're almost at $929,000 drop. So we are right on track with our revenue projections compared to actuals, and we're very pleased that we has not dip more than this number at this stage. As we all know, and as illustrated before, that our highest category of salaries and benefits are our most significant thing. You are our valued treasure, something we continue to try and preserve and protect. So we want you to understand, as a budget item, we know that you are critical to the institution and our growth. The other expenditures that we have are capital and other expenditures at 8% and 7%, but the most significant item is you in our audience, so thank you. Going on to expenditures, this illustrates where we're at on our expenditures halfway through the year. We have $7.8 million that we spent so far. Compared to last year, $8 million. We're $200,000 below that number. But unfortunately, we have had significant increases in a couple of categories. So on the far right-hand side, you will see our other expenses, other expenditures, and capital depreciation have increased instead of decreased from last year. Most of those are mandatory expenditures that we've had to make under operating expenses. We had an increase in our maintenance contracts that we had to continue. Under other expenditures, as Corey discussed a few minutes ago, we have hired consultants to help us with our financial aid and assist with our student loan default rates. So we really appreciate the extra effort that we've had to put in for financial aid, but it's very critical for us to do that for the institution. And finally, it was the balance on the capital depreciation. That increase is targeted at what we spend on our final payment for Banner that we implemented this year. So that the Banner has been fully included and taken care of in the budget, and the board approved that expenditure like 2 years ago, I think. So where we are currently is we have $7.3 million actual revenue. We're expending that a little bit at 7.8, and we have a deficit of $502,000 at this time. And you can see we almost shifted from last year, almost $750,000 from that standpoint. So what's key for us in the future for the next 6 months is to make sure we break even for the balance of the year, and we are on target to do that at this time. So expenses are moving along just the way we hoped, except for the mandatory additional expenses that we had. So my shout out goes to, and Corey kind of downplayed a little bit, but I really do think this is great news for us on our enrollment for spring. I really do appreciate Student Affairs' hard work. The deans and the faculty have done a great job to improve on enrollment for spring semester. This has been a significant effort to slow down our enrollment decline, and I think it's important for us to give a thank you to everybody that's worked on that, so thank you. So. want to touch upon what implementation program that we recently did is our goal-oriented tuition program. This is to encourage our students to attend full-time. Our previous tuition rate structure did not encourage students to consider attending full-time to save money and also speed their time through degree. We felt it was important for our students to focus on the degree and not just take a course at a time. We initially included this in our budget planning process in June, and the board approved that. We had the rate actually approved in December, and we implemented it spring semester. This will be our foundation for our tuition guarantee program, and will be important for the future of our long-term enrollment growth with tuition increases. The goal-oriented tuition program is really set at 12 to 15 semester hours. This is similar to what Dr. Webster talked about in the past, but I wanted to highlight that we have 18, he illustrated 12 to 18 semesters, and we changed that to 12 to 15. It's our incentive to try to have students attend full-time. This, however, has had us to increase our lower tuition rate for credit hours below 12. So the students will see that impact and want you to be aware of that from our student standpoint. I really do appreciate that we were able to implement this with spring, and really, again, thank the student affairs staff who had to work through that time frame, because it is a tough information to try to communicate to students of this rate change in a short amount of time. Dr. Webster at our fall convocation talked about our tuition guarantee program. Our board approved this in August, and we're waiting for final approval from the chancellor, and we're hoping to implement that for spring. This is our long-term strategy, something that we think will make us more successful and more funding for SSI. Dr. Webster talked about many things out of this tuition guarantee rate plan. We must enroll at least 12 credit hours. All credit courses are included, including development education. They must attend full-time for fall and spring semester. They must attend consecutive terms with no breaks. This will be a 3-year commitment from the college, and we must have the students sign up a 9-term agreement to implement this. And one of the requirements we want is the students to create an academic plan of study by the end of the second term of enrollment, so they are on track and in link with what we currently have. This will also improve on our student success and our college completion plan. Thank you.
Good morning. There's a lot of different things going on in the academic affairs. We're going to touch on a few of them today. Get right into that. Agribusiness is a program that we have had on our books for many years. It's been dormant for a lot of years, but we're trying to revive it because of the potential for growth in students in this geographic area. I want to thank Mike Schertz, first of all, for getting this started a couple of years ago. His leadership really got it off the ground and running, and a few other people in here have served on an advisory committee to help with that. Jolene Myers is now taking it over. And one thing that we're looking at are potential grants, as well as there's some interest among the community members to provide some developmental funding for this. So we'll see how that goes in the near term, and we'll resume the advisory meetings in the next within the next couple of months to keep that moving. We've been talking lately about possibly realigning our divisions. They've been set up a certain way for some time, and you know, as always, when you look at continuous improvement, is there a better way to do what we're doing? We've had some discussions with the faculty in December, got some interesting feedback. Some people say keep things the same. We had suggestions for changes to be made. So we've been discussing those over time. We're going to continue to discuss as the semester goes on. We've looked at some different models that we've had in the past. The model of assistant deans keeps coming up as something that seems to have worked well. and we're discussing the possibility of that and see if that is a good way for us to go. But we'll see as the semester moves on. If we make some changes, they'll go into effect the beginning of the next academic year. But you know, if we are going to make any changes, we hope to know that by the end of this semester. We plan to keep the 3 divisions. That seems to be working well. But one thing that we have been looking at and feedback that we receive also is that we've been in this mold where every division has to be equal all the time. Same number of programs, same number of faculty, and we're seeing, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be. In the end, if we make a change, they might be the same in terms of number of people, they might not. So we'll discuss the advantages and disadvantages and get some additional input as the semester goes on. We are evaluating programs also, something that many of us have discussed in the last couple of years or so is the number of programs that we have. And do we have too many programs or not? When Higher Learning Commission was here in April, that was one of the comments that they passed on to us, is that you have too many programs for a college your size. There are larger colleges that have many fewer programs than we do. When you look in our catalog, there are 64 pages of the catalog that give list programs. And we don't have a set number at which we need to be, but it seems like that may be too many for our size. Over time, we've added many programs, and we've kept all the other existing programs. So it's important that we do look at this. We've put together a team of faculty members and administrators to develop a rubric to look at existing programs. And once this is developed, we'll also use it to evaluate potentially new programs that we think we should be bringing into the college. And our goal is to determine the viability of programs. You're going to hear a little bit about this later this morning from our guest speaker. But different factors that we're looking at, I mean, these are just a few of many things we need to consider, is what's the need of the program in our service district? How's the enrollment in the program? How many graduates does it put out? How does it tie into the mission of the college? And many other things need to be considered with this. So again, if it impacts a program, if you're teaching in a program, and we may be getting some additional input from you on that as we go through this during the semester. And one other major initiative that's happening right now is looking at credit hours in programs. The Ohio Board of Regents has been discussing this for the past few years, and Ohio Association of Community Colleges has gotten involved in it also to help spearhead the initiative to make things happen. At meetings I go to in Columbus, this is discussed very often, and so all the two-year colleges in particularly are saying, you know, we need to look at this. The OBR guidelines are saying that we need to have a minimum of 60 credit hours in a program and a maximum of 65. There are exceptions that can be made because of licensing or accreditation requirements, but most of them do not have that requirement and should be in that 60 to 65 credit hour range. There are many programs that we have at Terra that exceed 65 hours. So it's something that we have discussed with faculty already, and we'll continue to discuss to look at that and see what can we do to make some changes that will benefit the students. There are many reasons for this, but some of the key reasons why we look at this is, first of all, with fewer credit hours, we improve graduation rates. And again, you'll hear our speaker address this today as well. We're on a completion funding formula, and as more people graduate, that helps the funding based on completion. And another reason is it helps us to avoid legislative action. There are people in government who say college is too expensive, people are going to school too long, they need to get what they need and get into the workforce. If we don't do something, we're going to be told to do something by legislation. So those are a few of the reasons we're doing that, and again, by the end of next semester, the fall semester, we'll have everything in place and move forward with that. Mary?
This is like the Academy Awards. If you're up here too long, you're going to get knocked out. Sorry, Jack. Encroaching. The Rescue Council is a new governance council on campus, and it is co-chaired by Dr. Corey Stone and myself. And of course, the major elements of The Rescue Council would include recruitment, enrollment, success, completion. We're calling ourselves a unit because we have so many different factions on campus. The Recruitment and Enrollment Subcommittee is chaired by Heath Martin, and he is addressing the recruitment events, registration events, instant admit days, the professional development for his staff and other people on campus dealing with enrollment and admission issues, financial aid, scholarship information, the tuition guarantee, etc. The other subcommittee of Rescue is Success and Completion Subcommittee, and that is chaired by Dr. Mike Capper. And he's addressing the academic plan of study, advising efforts, tutoring services, assessing courses with high attrition rates, course scheduling. Of course, I think that we all know that we would like to get back to a multi-year schedule, and so we're looking at a 2-year schedule. In combination with that, we would also like to get to where we would have a catalog that would be in place for at least 2 years. So the advising sheet's another component that Dr. Capper will be addressing, campus completion report, and of course, professional development for campus. Our next steps would be creating a strategic enrollment plan, arranging customer service. I think that we're very keen on the service that we provide to students, and that's one of the hallmarks of Terrace State Community College, is the wonderful service that we provide to those individuals that come to our campus. We will also be capitalizing on regional educational issues where there's a niche that we can fill here in Northwest Ohio. We surely would like to do that. We've discussed in our committee meetings the effort of reaching out and emphasizing STEM. And again, back to the academic schedule. We're exploring fast track and cohort-based programs, and we're leveraging the expertise of the program advisory committees. And if anyone is interested in attending our rescue committee meetings, they are held the first Thursday of the month during the common hour in B206. Now I'd like to give you a brief overview on our housing update. As you know, the Housing Initiative provides a gateway for Terrace State in conjunction with the Roundabout Project and supports community outreach, supporting recruitment efforts, enrollment management, and Vision 2016. The housing effort is an option for interested students, and it's also an opportunity to secure more international students, as well as outreach to retail and other elements of quality for faculty, staff, and others in the greater Fremont area. As you might know, phase 1 of the housing effort would include 200 student beds and a square footage of upwards to 5,000 square feet in the first phase. Our second phase is probably going to follow a few years after our initial. And the project schedule, and of course this is a draft. You might see from 2015, we're at the planning and pre-development initial phase at this point. Our design will take place later this year, beginning in April, and then following through in construction in 2016, and with a target date for move-in in August of 2017. Just a mention of those individuals who are from the work group on the housing project: Trustee Burleycamp, Dr. Webster, Randy McCulloch, Elaine Rosengarten, Heath Martin, and myself. And I noticed somebody off to my right-hand shoulder, so it's time for me to go.
All right, well, good morning, everybody. I'm Andy Carroll. I'd like to talk just a little bit about some efforts that we have going on in workforce development in this part of Ohio. So go ahead and take a look here. One of the things I'm really proud to talk about is the fact that we're doing a collaboration with the University of Toledo in Northwest State Community College. And we've actually put together the Northwest Ohio Workforce Development and Advanced Manufacturing Training Center. So this project is underway. And what we're doing is we're going to be moving into a facility on the University of Toledo's Scott Park campus. And it's a former engineering technologies building there. And we received $3.1 million in state of Ohio funding to put this program together. And we'll be renovating that facility. So we've formed advisory boards, including members of local industry, other educational and government officials. And we've had a couple meetings, and we're focusing on the overall scope of the project. While we do that, we're also working on and formalizing some of the detailed agreements between the partners in terms of cost and revenue sharing and different business agreements that just need to be formalized. The renovation of the facility is out for bid right now and will actually begin soon. We're working on curricular plans that we'll be establishing where we'll be targeting specific workforce development needs of the Toledo community. The Toledo, community is probably about 10 times the size of the region that we serve now, so we anticipate a lot of opportunity there. We'll be putting together a robotics program to take up there. Northwest State Community College will be focused on some industrial networking operations, AC/DC machines, basic electricity, motor controls, PLCs, hydraulics, and some other general mechanical. But our real expertise that they wanted us for is the robotics at this point, and they're also very interested in HVAC down the road and some of our other programs. So with that said, we're working on a target launch of either August of this year or more likely January of 2016. If you look at the map that I've shown here, the two rooms in blue on the right side of that floor plan are actually allocated for Terra State. We're also working on a collaboration with the University of Toledo, again at the Scott Park campus, to take our show on the road when it comes to having the police academy and the expertise that Professor Cunningham has brought to Terra. And we've actually met with UT in the office of the provost there, and we've already negotiated an articulation agreement for our criminal justice students to transfer into the University of Toledo with 62 credit hours of credit needed towards their 120 credit hour bachelor's degree. So want to thank Sister Pat for her work on that, because she really did pave the way for us to get into UT and make that happen. And obviously Professor Cunningham has done a fantastic job. So in the scope of that meeting, told them a little bit about what we were doing with another local private university we had been in discussions with, and basically enticed them to think about, what would you think of a police academy at UT Scott Park campus? And it's pretty exciting, because immediately they were very excited about that. They have 450 full-time criminal justice students at the University of Toledo at any given time, many of which have an interest in policing and going through the police academy. So with that said, we're kind of negotiating some things with them, but we're pretty optimistic that we're talking to the right people and that we'll be making this happen. So right now, UT's working to adjust their curriculum. They've already agreed that they would transfer graduates of our police academy into their criminal justice program and award them 21 credit hours of credit, okay? The only issue that they're kind of working through now is the fact that those credits are going to come in as 2,000 level courses. So what they want to do is they're taking some of their 2,000 level electives now and making modifications to them to justify bringing them up to the 3,000 and 4,000 level so that they can then rearrange their program to make it fit for us. So UT is also assisting with equipment acquisition and arranging to provide us with all the necessary facility space, including the gun range, driving range, and obviously classroom space. And UT has a lot of ability to obtain capital dollars, so they're a great partner in that regard. We're looking at launching that program in January of 2016 as well. So thank you.
I always get the super fun topics to talk to you all about. So strategic planning. We've heard for a number of years now about our Vision 2016 strategic plan that ran from July 1st of 2011 and is slated to be retired on June 30th, 2016. Just as an update, in October last year, the Planning and Institutional Effectiveness Council met, did some evaluating with the responsible parties on campus, and determined that with 65% of the time of the plan elapsed, 65% of the goals of that plan had pretty much been achieved and were able to be retired. And I know I'm looking at some board members right now, and I know the Board of Trustees was happy to hear that too, because they don't have to hear reports on all of those items anymore. We will continue to monitor through the PI Council and report the remaining action items active to the board. And we will be wrapping this strategic plan up over the next 18 months. I know that makes everybody really sad. So don't worry. Right now, we are starting the next strategic planning initiative for the college. We're going to do a 4-year strategic plan this time because Vision 2020 was too good to pass up. We're going to be developing a process, exploring a number of proven methods. There's been some research Dr. Webster has thrown at me to look through, and we're going to try to determine a method. But one of the things that we're pretty sure about is that we really liked that large team-based strategy that we had for the campus completion plan that we developed over the course of last academic year. And so we want to, with whatever other strategies we're bringing to bear on this, we want to include that as part of our method for creating the new strategic plan. We are going to have the same 5 overall goals from Vision 2016. And at the request of the Board of Trustees, we're going to have a new goal, a 6th goal added that really focuses in on workforce development. Okay. Now, I'm adding a goal which should scare you all because we had 120 action items on the last strategic plan with 5 goals. Okay? We're not going to have that many action items. We're really going to try to focus in on creating some larger and more measurable outcomes and action items for this new strategic plan. And we're going to do baseline measurements, make sure that everything is data-driven, outcomes-based, so that we know what we want to accomplish, where we started in relation to that, and where we want to end up in relation to those areas. And you'll be hearing more from me as time goes on with this, I'm sure. Thanks.
Thanks for the warning, Mike. This is a mouthful, and try standing up and saying that when you're at a conference telling people what this is all about. This is a grant that we received from the National Science Foundation, Integrated Application-Based Curriculum in Advanced Manufacturing. We've all heard the same story about how manufacturing is leaving the country and going offshore. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it's actually coming back, and it's coming back in a big way. We received a 3-year grant from the National Science Foundation to look into curriculum. What kind of courses, what kind of academic preparation do people need to get careers in manufacturing? Because manufacturing is not what it used to be. The plants are not the same grungy, dirty places they used to be. So unfortunately, it does not fund new equipment. It's strictly limited to curriculum. One of the things we did put in the grant, though, is funding mentorships with secondary school counselors, because if you don't get them early, you usually don't get them at all. So we're in the process of meeting with local manufacturers, assessing skills needed by the workforce so the manufacturers can remain competitive. Then we have to identify what skills we currently are filling and areas where new skills and courses will be required. Manufacturing has changed. You don't need the same set of skills you needed back in the day when you had a guy standing in front of a drill press for 8 hours a day going, "Eom, eom, eom." It's become a lot more computer intensive, a lot more technology intensive. So we have to identify the skills and technologies that we need. So our current curriculum is under review right now in 4 areas. My specific area, robotics, Jeff Hamilton's area, electricity, and Rob Townsend's area, manufacturing and mechanical engineering. We know there's some changes coming. I've had some conversations with the math department because the state of Ohio is forcing some changes on us in that area. And that's making our lives kind of interesting. Based on what we determine, the skills for the future are going to be, we'll look at current curriculum improvements, identify what new curriculum we need to establish, and then develop a long-range plan to implement that new curriculum as we need to bring it online. The whole concept of the mentorships that's a part of the grant, as I said earlier, if you don't get them young, you don't get them at all. My wife's a retired high school teacher. I've watched what used to be termed vocational education in the high schools virtually disappear over the last 25, 30 years. And that's where you used to get a lot of people that would go into these areas, was coming right out of high school. Well, they don't have that anymore. The Manpower Group has done a number of studies over the years. What they're finding and what we're finding in talking to people is that the workforce is getting older, people are retiring, and there are no replacements in the pipeline. And so we basically have to start, I'm afraid we're going to have to start rebuilding the pipeline before we can put people in it, but that's what we're going to have to do. As in terms of what's going on at Terra, we're cleaning up and renovating 3 labs over in Building 106, or Building E, E106, E101, 103. And then as a part of the curriculum review, we've got a common core that we've identified, and then we're looking at program-specific requirements, opportunities for multiple degrees, as well as pathways to 4-year degrees. A student of mine pointed out to me last year, there's only 5 additional credits between Jeff's program and mine. Why wouldn't you spend an extra semester or 2 and get both? So that's, that's some areas, opportunities for improvement we need to look at, as well as some of our 4-year pathways. There's a number of people, Dr. Sue Babian worked on the grant, Andy Carroll, myself, Jeff Hamilton, Mike Smith back, Amy Belo, probably a whole bunch of people I forgot to mention. I'd like to thank all the people that helped us get that grant, and the National Science Foundation for giving us the money.
We're very excited about that grant, and there's a lot of work that has to occur to make that come to fruition, and it really will provide a great springboard for the future and the opportunity for Advanced Technology Center on the campus, which is the next step in that process. So we're very excited about the ability to have what's called a planning grant through the National Science Foundation, and it gives us the ability to then apply for a much larger grant down the road. So I thank all of those faculty members who have been involved in this process. I wanted to spend just a couple of moments talking with you about some collaboration opportunities that the college has been exploring with other higher ed partners in the region. The conversations have begun to really determine whether or not there are opportunities to collaborate on a variety of different levels that would benefit the students of the Northwest Ohio region, as well as benefit our individual campuses. And this process really is born out of the 21st Century Commission sponsored by the American Association of Community Colleges, which has been, quite honestly, the theme that the college has rallied around ever since that commission's report has come out to better serve our students, where we consider reinventing the system, as they say, reinventing the system. The way in which higher education is delivered is dynamically changing. The issues that we're facing with regard to the cost of education in the nation has been considered a great deal of pressure on the local consumer. The debt that students are going into to obtain a degree is of great concern. And I recently traveled to Seattle. I just got back last night, participating in what's called the Jobs for the Future State Policy Network meeting, where the state of Ohio sent a team. We were only one of 7 states that I could count that were there, to discuss how we are making progress in addressing these issues associated with student success and completion, and how we have to continue to look at doing things differently in order to address the dynamic changes that are going on in the state, and as well as in the nation. And I would suggest that when it comes to Ohio, I was quite pleased to be part of our team to know that there are many steps that we have taken in the state to be pretty progressive in embracing these changes. I was with members from the Ohio Board of Regents, other members from other community colleges, and the president of the Ohio Association of Community Colleges as our team, and we did a number of presentations and heard a number of great deals of information that really framed for me individually how our college has to move forward in a different way in order to continue to embrace the dynamic changes that are going on. But that whole concept of reinventing the system is one that I believe gives us great promise and opportunity. And so the conversations that have occurred more recently is that 5 of the presidents of the public institutions in Northwest Ohio have met and continue to meet on a regular basis to have discussions about how we can be collaborative in nature. And when you get 5 presidents in the room, it kind of gets really interesting, I got to tell you. There's a lot of unique conversations and discussions and egos that you have to embrace, quite honestly. It's a fun time. And the players are changing. The current interim president of the University of Toledo, Dr. Naganathan, is not a finalist for that position. And so that certainly plays into the discussions as to how we will move forward with a new president at the University of Toledo. There are changes that are going on at Owens Community College, as we all know, with their financial status and what's happening. And so that certainly has an impact. Bowling Green State University has decided to do some very specific things associated with their campus and downsizing the size of the campus. If you've read any of the news articles about that, they're very actively looking at how they can shrink their campus instead of expand it, because they see the future of Bowling Green being very different. And then Northwest State Community College has some various initiatives that they're working with, and we are part of that. And so there's a lot of dynamic things that are going on. But I would encourage you to be cognizant of the fact that we really want to look at how we can collaborate to benefit our students in ways that we probably have never thought of in the past. The beauty is that we have the opportunity to do so in a way that all of us are positive and excited about, and we're looking at how we can move this forward in a relatively short period of time. So let me tell you just a little bit of some of the things that we were talking about. Is there a way that we could collaborate when it comes to data centers, gathering data that helps us make good decisions? Is there a way that we could collaborate in providing IT services for all of the campuses if we're all on the same system? Is there a way that we could collaborate in purchasing, that we could get a better discount with group purchases that would save all of us money. Those are the types of conversations that we're having, and we continue to think about how we can evolve that conversation so that we're taking advantage of the opportunities that exist as a collaborative group to better serve our students in the region. So it's an exciting time. I will continue to try to share information associated with this collaboration opportunity as things unfold. I will try to have individual conversations with those who may be more directly involved, and it will more likely call upon some of the individuals who are directly involved in certain areas to perhaps have conversations with colleagues at other campuses to further the discussion at an individual level on how that would have an impact, positively or negatively, on functions at the college. And so it's something that we're looking at in terms of the whole concept of reinventing the system to make it better for our students and for Northwest Ohio as a region. So that's a little bit about the collaboration opportunities. I'm very pleased to introduce our next presenter on the topic of early college high school. Miss Amy Miller has been a longtime K-12 educator and now as a consultant who has been hired by Fremont City Schools to assist them in exploring and implementing an early college high school concept. Dr. Tracy McCauty, the superintendent of Fremont City Schools, approached Terra State with this interest, and because these partnerships are part of the Vision 2016 strategic plan, we were very excited to embrace the opportunity to explore and, if possible, implement an early college high school in this area. And Amy has been the consultant that has helped us along the way to better understand what it means to have an early college high school in the area and how Terra State could be part of that process. So I welcome her to the podium, and I ask you to join me in welcoming her.
I'd like to thank Dr. Webster for inviting me to share a very brief overview of the potential partnership between Terra State Community College and Fremont City Schools. As professionals involved in higher education, many of you may be very familiar with early college high school models. For some, this may be something you have heard about, but are somewhat unclear as to how the early college high school model differs from many other post-secondary options for high school students. What I plan to share with you today is some of the core foundations of early college high schools, why early college high school is a viable option across the United States, but more importantly, why it may provide a valuable option for students in the Fremont community area. To start with, it's important to note that early college high school initiatives is founded on core beliefs. First, early college schools have high expectations for all students. Every student is capable of college-level work or college and career readiness. Students need acceleration, not remediation. Students learn more when challenged and engaged by instruction and rigorous academic work. Early college is an educational transformation model that was developed and implemented by Jobs for the Future and national partners with funding from the Gates Foundation for the past almost 10 to 15 years now. The majority of this first part of this presentation is actually taken from the Jobs for the Future website, and so if you are really interested in this concept, I would encourage you to go to their website. There's a variety of resources that are available about early college as well as other resources, but that's where most of this information today that I'm sharing with you comes from. Early colleges are high schools and feeder middle schools that bring college into high school to provide underserved youth with a path to and through post-secondary education. Early college is where students earn a high school diploma and up to 2 years of transferable college credit tuition-free. There's a rigorous instructional framework aligned to college-ready standards and a strong college-going culture throughout the school. It is developed around student-centered learning with strong student supports, and that's one I think that's really important to remember as we're talking is the emphasis on the student supports. There's a location typically near or on college campuses to build the student's identity as college goers. Early college schools expose all students to college coursework, preparing them for college and careers, reducing time and cost towards post-secondary degrees, and building a college-going culture for all students in the school. Early college schools are committed to serving underrepresented youth in higher education, including low-income youth, students of color, first-generation college goers, and English language learners. And we are really looking at those first-generation college goers as we are looking at this initiative in the Fremont area. There's also a range of early college high school models. On the left column here, you'll see it's the small school model where there's it operates in close connection with the post-secondary option or post-secondary institution. The middle model is basically early college high schools designed for students who are off track for graduation. And the one on the far right is basically a model of which a high school might have a school within a school. The model that we are looking at is truly the one on the left of developing a small autonomous school serving approximately 100 students or possibly more. I'm going to skip this one. Even though I do have plenty of time, everybody spoke really fast, but I'll skip a couple anyways. The model of early college high schools, there are a variety of models. There's not one particular way to do it. However, the things that to take away from today is that the courses may be held on a college campus. The courses may be held at the high school with instructors from the college or instructors from the high school who have adjunct faculty status. It could be an online distance learning coursework, or it could be any or all of the above. And so as the takeaway saying, well, how does this differ from what we currently look at when we look at post-secondary options? And this is my takeaway for you for today. To simplify, the most significant takeaway from the early college high school model is that it differs from other post-secondary options because it is intentional. Students who are currently participating in post-secondary options are the proactive students. They are pursuing this because it is something either they or their family are helping them pursue. Early college models, students are recruited, and numerous and significant student supports are put into place. It is the intent of early college, high school, to graduate successful college-ready students. And so again, it is the intentionality of the design to get students with that 2-year degree. The next few slides are actually, again, taken from Jobs for the Future. I left them in because there are some statistics that are interesting. I'm not sure how clear the slides show up, and I'll kind of just point out some of the statistics that are on here. This first one says there are too many entering freshmen who need remediation. If you look at this on the left side, it says that almost 52% of students entering a 2-year college require remediation, while almost 20% entering a 4-year college require remediation. The statistics are even more evident when broken down into the subgroup populations, and it might be hard to see. And again, this is a little old, but I don't think it is not relevant still. Of those 52% students who are entering 2-year college who needs remediation, 62% of those will complete the remediation. So of the 52%, a little over half will actually complete the remediation in a 2-year college. And then of those, about 22% will actually go on to graduate. So when you take 52 with 62 with only 22, you're not looking at a very large proportion of students who come in who are in the need of remediation. And I'm just going to kind of point out the 2-year college degrees at this point instead of the 4-year college degrees. The next slide, Randy McCullough spoke about the importance of trying to get students to attend full-time. And this slide basically talks about that too few students graduate for part-time, results are tragic, even when they have twice as much time. If you look at the middle one there, and it's kind of hard to see, but it says 2-year associate's degree within 4 years. For those students attending full-time, it's about 19%. For those who go part-time, 8%. Staggering when you think about the fact that we need to get students actually attending to be successful. Graduation odds are especially low for students who are African American, Hispanic, older, or poor. And if you look at the second column, I'll go through that one. It says full-time, a 2-year associates in 3 years, excuse me. African American, it's about a 7.5 graduation rate. Hispanic, 11.1. If you jump down to the last one, low-income students, it's 11.8. You go to the part-time, which would be the second to the last column. The African American, 2.1. The Hispanic, 2.6. And low income, 4.3. So staggering when we think about how we are having students not be successful. But I want to bring it closer to home. These are nationwide statistics. I want you to look a little bit of what it looks like just in this particular area. This is from the U.S. Census Bureau from the 2010, and I just took a snapshot, and you can go to the Census Bureau. There's a lot of really interesting information if you can't sleep some night. But you look here about the educational attainment of this area. And I'm going to draw your line to the very lowest line, just because I was trying to keep this timely. Percent of bachelor's degree or higher. You'll see the state of Ohio has 25.2% in the state of Ohio, bachelor's degree or higher. Fremont, 12%, which says we have a lot of students in this area who are potentially first-generation college goers, which is why when we're looking at this initiative, that is part of our focus of looking at those students who we be not just parents who have attended, but parents who have graduated. The next slide is probably even harder to see, but again, it's from the U.S. Census Bureau. This one I use for the Sandusky County, not just for Fremont, although I do have the information just for the Fremont city as well. But I broke that down into the subgroup populations. And you look at, let's go again just to the bachelor's degree or higher. Now the one thing that was of good note is that the associate's degree is slightly higher in this area on the previous slide. But if we look at Sandusky County, of the bachelor's degree or higher, for males who are white, the actual percentage there, I have to read it, my own things now, it's 12%, I believe is what it says. I've got tiny printing here. Yep, 13%, excuse me. Female who are white, 15%. If you go to the African American male, it's 5%, bachelor's degree or higher. Female bachelor's degree or higher, 2%. In the last column is Hispanic. 6% for the males and 8% for females. So if we look at the national statistics, we're looking at community statistics at this point. The other piece of research that I've been using is actually looking at data from the National Student Clearinghouse and looking at college retention and college enrollment. And I'm just sharing a few snapshots of some of that information. This was most recently I received just this past November. And this is looking at the graduation cohort from Fremont from 2011. And you look at the first column there, the purple indicates the students who were not going to college. The green would be those who did enroll in an institution of higher learning. That includes both 2- and 4-year. Okay, which, you know, a little healthy. We've got a nice green going on. But then as you go across, the yellow are those students who did not return, not enrolled. So you'll see over the course of 3 years that basically we're losing students, okay? Anything yellow and above is not good. And you'll see that area increasing over the past 3 years for that cohort. These next few slides, basically I would like you just to kind of look at the trend lines. They are basically the different subgroup categories. And the one to draw attention to is actually the blue line, which is the Hispanic population. Again, this is from Fremont Ross. We really need to start at 2011. 2010, the database, it was not very good, so kind of disregard it and do a starting point at 2011. This slide shows the students who attended the first fall after graduation, all right? And if you watch across from 2011, 2012, 13, 14, you will see that we are losing ground with our Hispanic population attending college the first fall after graduation. This is students who attended any time after that first year after graduation. And again, follow that blue line. This is enrollment anytime during the first 2 years after graduation. And this last one is basically students who were retained. They came back for a second year. And so when I was looking at this, when I looked at the first generation college goers, some of our subgroup populations, we need to do something different. So that brings us to where we are today, looking at potentially an early college model in this community. We've started some very preliminary steps. We've developed a partnership between Terra State Community College and Fremont City Schools. We've done some research of various opportunities and options we could consider. We have done a little visitation. We might be doing some more, and are in the development of team development. Fremont City Schools just put together and had their first meeting with a planning team for Ross and other members of the school system. And it does come with challenges, one of which is College Credit Plus. Early college models will be impacted by the requirements. So again, that's kind of a moving target, and so we need to keep moving with that target. The other is high school requirements for end of the year testing, so we need to stay attuned to that. So there are some challenges as we plan. But moving forward, this is where we are right now. Currently, we are exploring developing curriculum, what would be an appropriate curriculum for students participating. And we have a work team from Terra as well as Fremont working on this. We are exploring design options. We don't know where students are going to be located. We haven't touched that yet, but that will be an exploration that we will be looking at. And we will be developing a work plan with the intent of basically proposing implementation for the school year 2016-17. So hopefully a year from now, we'll be ready to go. So thank you so much, and I look forward to working with you in the future.
Wow, 5 minutes to spare. That's good. So we were reconvening at 9:45. Before we break and enjoy opportunity to stretch our legs, I'd like to introduce our chair of the board, Nancy Grandillo, who is now with us, and Don Nally, our sergeant-at-arms from the Board of Trustees. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, so it's time for a break and enjoy. We'll see you back here at 9:45. Be on time.